Welcome to the On3 Studios here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's the Inside Scoop. Today's Wednesday, July 3rd, and yeah, we're in a dead period, but things are not dead. You guys know that because just about an hour ago, we had the number 48 overall player in the country, edge Justin Hill, commit live on this channel. It's still up there. Go watch it if you haven't yet. He's one of several elite recruits that are lined up to commit with us right here at the On3 Recruits channel. So make sure you guys hit subscribe right now. Jump on board. It's an exciting summer. All right, here was the moment. I'm going to show you guys the emotional moment when Justin Hill picked Alabama over Ohio State, USC, and Oregon.
Everybody who came out, even if y'all not blood related, y'all still in my heart like family. I want to thank y'all for sure. My parents, my aunt, dad, I love y'all, man. Y'all do everything for me. And I appreciate y'all spending y'all time and y'all money to get me to these colleges and for me to I'm at a loss for words. I can't explain how much I love y'all for sure. And last but not least, I want to thank the man above, God. I wouldn't be where I am without him. And I'm just blessed to be in this situation. I know y'all ain't come here to see me talk, or cry. But with that being said, for the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be taking my talents too. University of Alabama. Roll Tide!
There you see it, Justin Hill and his mom with the emotional embrace right after he commits to the Tide, and boy, did Alabama need that commitment to stay red hot. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has turned official visits into commitments this summer better than the Tide. Alabama has landed 9 commitments since June 1st, and 7 of those commitments are in the top 100. Dijon Lee, Michael Carroll, Jackson Lloyd, Justin Hill, Keelan Russell, Chuck McDonald, and Dawson Merritt all have committed since June 1st. And now Alabama is in the 2 spot, coming for number 1 Ohio State. So the Buckeyes don't move a spot. They hang with number 1, and as they should, loaded class. But they're going to need more to stay number 1 because Alabama's coming. So is Georgia. So is Oregon. LSU, they need a little spark. I don't think that they're going to make a run at number 1, but they are going to probably finish top 5. I like them there at 3, but Oregon, man, Oregon picked up some more recruiting prediction machine picks for more 5-star recruits. Trey McNutt and Jonah Williams each received picks for Oregon this week, so watch out for the Ducks. But today was all about Alabama picking up Justin Hill. It was a huge commitment, and as we kind of look through here, you see Clemson and Notre Dame, they were top 3, top 5 about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now they're signed to 6 and 7. A&M staying hot. They're in the top 10. Oklahoma moves from 10 to 9 this week, and then you got Florida State. You know, Florida State, man, they lost Tavian Wallace yesterday to Arkansas. Now, it wasn't just Florida State versus Arkansas. Florida State, UF, and Georgia all were in it for Tavian Wallace, but all the experts thought Wallace was going to Florida State. He picks Arkansas. I don't think that hurts Georgia all that much. I mean, they have Zayden Walker committed, the number 1 linebacker in America. They'll get theirs. But for UF and Florida State to lose out on a prospect that they really covet out of Georgia, that stings a little bit. We'll see if he stays committed to the Razorbacks. All right, let's look at number 11. You got Tennessee knocking on the door of the top 10 class. We got David Sanders out there, and he's looming. Either Ohio State or Tennessee for him, I think. I think that's the 2. So we'll see if Tennessee can land David Sanders and really vault them into the top 10. Then you got Auburn, Penn State. Texas is moving on up. They were at 16 or 17 earlier in this week. They're now 14. You got Michigan, the defending national champs, at 15. Miami was at 19 to start the week. They got some stuff going. We're going to talk about Miami in this show here. They got some big news coming. USC slides from 11 to 17 this week as Hilton Stubbs decommits. Then you got Missouri, Rutgers, and TCU rounding out the top 20. All right, so we got a big show today. We're going to talk Miami. We're going to talk Texas. We're going to talk all the major developments that are going on this week in recruiting. So Hang tight. Let's get the show going. Let's talk some Texas recruiting. The Horns, they're sitting outside the top 10 at number 14 currently, but who's worried? Come on, Horns fans. We saw this last year. We know the commitments are coming, and that's what we're here to talk about in today's video. I got Justin Wells from Inside Texas. We're going to break it all down, but first, Horns fans, let me ask you a favor. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel, the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, please. All right. Bring on Justin Wells from Inside Texas. Now, we're here to talk about commitments, but first, Texas defensive line commit Brandon Brown. He committed in December, but there's smoke that he could be flipping. What's going on here?
Yeah, this is a recruitment that was, each one has its own story, and this one was a little different than the others. He committed to Texas sight unseen. He had never taken a visit. And that's rare for an out-of-state kid to commit that early. But he had built a really good relationship with Bo Davis, the former defensive line coach of Texas. Fast forward, Bo Davis is now in Baton Rouge. And so Brandon Brown and his mother have been getting closer to the LSU staff and some of those coaches, along with Coach Davis. I got to catch up with some of his family yesterday. And it just seems like he's going to make an announcement, I feel like tomorrow. And I would have a hard time seeing him stay in this Texas class. Yeah. Like I said, when you commit to a coach and he leaves, that's one thing. And then that relationship just continued to grow once Bo Davis got to Baton Rouge. And so at the end of the day, I'm surprised Texas has hung on this long. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like LSU and OU are two teams that really separated themselves during the official visit season. And I like LSU right now.
All right. Well, it could be a one out, one in scenario. Let's talk Cade Phillips, four-star safety from Missouri City, Texas. Now, some heavy hitters involved in his recruitment besides Texas. You got Michigan, LSU, Oregon, Stanford, Ole Miss. He's going to announce Saturday. Could it possibly be the next Texas commitment?
Absolutely. I think Texas has done a tremendous job with Cade Phillips. They've been recruiting this kid for almost a year now. But it was funny because when he came to take it unofficial in April, Sark felt like they didn't prioritize him enough, or they didn't make him and his family feel like they were. Even though if you ask Cade, he felt like he was one of their top guys. Sark wanted to reassure him. They love him. He's one of the top guys on their defensive big board, especially in state. Cade Phillips is a track. He tracks and smacks. 6'1.5", about 180, 185. Like you said, the offer list is long and distinguished. But I think Texas has done the best job of not only prioritizing, but laying out the plans for what he can do in this program. Mm-hmm. And it's not just safety. This is a kid that can play some corner. He can play some nickel. He's going to be versatile. And I think that's what PK and Sark and those guys are looking for. And so right now, I think Texas has done the best job. We'll have to wait and see on Saturday when he makes his call. But, the fact that they prioritized him early, I think, was big. He was an early evaluation, and they're starting to mine the area of Fort Bend County in Houston a lot more. They grabbed a commitment from Caleb Chester last month. They're going to try to grab another one. That's an area with high-powered talent. And so at the end of the day, I really like where Texas stands going into Saturday.
All right, let's stay inside the state of Texas. And five-star safety Jonah Williams. Now, he's not necessarily a Horns target, but he's been trending to Oklahoma. And then you put in a prediction for Oregon just about 24 hours ago. What's the intel on five-star, the number one safety in America, Jonah Williams?
Yeah, with Jonah, one thing I was assured of recently, this recruitment is nowhere near the end. This thing is going to go the distance. I anticipate this to be a November, December decision at the end of the day. Listen, Jonah and his family are very smart and very savvy, and they understand the recruiting game very well. His older brother Nick went through a similar process. Baseball is a big factor as well. And so I think right now Oregon has a nice little trend going to it right now. Obviously, Dan Lanning and those guys are recruiting at a very high level. They've killed it with Josiah Sharma and Dorian Brew, Jordan Davison yesterday. They're leading for some other big guys. And so there's a buzz there with Oregon, and I think Jonah's caught on with some of that. At the same time, I think Texas A&M is a school you really have to watch in this recruitment. I think USC is another school. LSU is one that I think is right there near the hanging around the rim. I think that's a school that can make a push, and I wouldn't be surprised if Texas gets him on campus for an official visit late in the fall. That's the one school he didn't take an OV from that he had been building a relationship with. Sark and Coach Gideon and PK, they've all been staying on Jonah Williams. They're not going to let up on this guy. This is a two-sport talent, and he's a 5-star for a reason. But right now, Oregon, they just got something brewing up in Eugene, and there's some trends going on right there right now. But again, this is a recruitment I think is still in its infancy stages. You're probably not going to see anything decision-wise or anything big until later in this cycle.
All right, now let's talk about 5-star athlete Michael Terry, the #1 athlete in America. Texas A&M, Texas, Nebraska, Oregon. But Texas, the Horns, have been pulling away on the recruiting prediction machine. Do you think, now that we're at the midpoint of summer, the Horns are the team to beat? And also, when do you think Michael Terry announces a commitment?
Oh, that's a great question. I think he wants to have this thing done before he begins his senior year. When we talked to him at the On3 Elite Series in Nashville, that was kind of him and his dad's talk was, hey, hopefully find a spot before beginning of the senior season. I like where Texas is at, but listen, I think they had to make up some slack in this recruitment because, Michael Terry had been a Texas fan his whole life. And then they come through for junior day around January. And there were some discussions about where he would fit in on offense or defense for that matter. And I think Terry was very, very determined. Hey, he really wants to play on the offensive side. Fast forward to June and this official visit when he came to Austin, and I think Texas really set the table. They essentially told him, look, we're not looking at one position for you. We think you're a tremendous athlete. He's the #1 rated athlete in the nation for 2025. And so they basically told him, don't worry about offense or defense. Just we want you in this program. We want you to be a member of this football team. We'll worry about the position later. And I really think that separated Texas from the pack. Now, Oregon is squarely in it. He went up there, had a great trip, connected with Will Stein, the offensive coordinator. I think that they talk on a regular basis. So I think Oregon's there. Nebraska really made a hard push in the spring, early summer. I think that's waned a little bit. Texas A&M was the same way. They got an official visit as well. But I think this is coming down to Texas and Oregon. And right now I kind of lean towards Texas because, again, he kind of grew up a Longhorn fan. He's from San Antonio, so he's not far from Austin. That proximity hits really hard. And after that official visit and then basically saying, look, don't worry about your position. We think you're a Texas football player. We want you in this program. We'll figure that out once you get on campus. I think that's when Texas kind of started to really get a little bit of an edge as we approach a decision, presumably before the end of the summer.
Yeah, could be coming in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So Texas fans, tap in. Let us know, how do we feel about Michael Terry? How do you feel about the class right now? I know they're sitting outside the top 10, but this is going to be a top 10 finish. Let us know. Comment section below. Commitments are coming, but will they be going in the direction of the LSU Tigers? We're going to find out. We got a couple big decisions that are about to go down in the next couple days, and I got Shay Dixon on this video from the Bengal Tiger to talk all about it. But first, LSU fans, do me a favor. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. Nobody covers LSU recruiting in the offseason like On3 Recruits. So go ahead, jump on board. All right, let's bring in my guy, Shay Dixon. And we got decisions going down this week. A couple big ones for the Tigers. Tomorrow, out of the state of Texas, Zion Williams is going to be set to make his decision. Big-time defensive lineman. Where do the Tigers stand in this one?
As the team to beat, they are the On3 RPM leader. We've got On3 RPM picks in for LSU between myself, Billy at the Bengal Tiger, and Steve Wiltfong at the national site. So we feel like we've got all angles covered here. And Josh, this will be the first D-line commit for this cycle for LSU. Mm-hmm. And yes, that seems like they've waited a long time for it, but you have to remember, Brian Kelly fired his entire defensive staff after the bowl game. By the end of January, they had a new staff in place. The new D-line coach was Bo Davis, former LSU player, began his career here coaching, had stops at Bama, but then was at Texas for a while. And he had recruited Zion Williams out of Lufkin to Texas. So when he got to the LSU job, this was sort of a natural transition. Hey, let's continue to recruit Zion. They got him for an official visit, made official visits elsewhere, ended up canceling his Texas OV, which would have been the final one in June, all signs here in a battle what was really LSU versus the Longhorns is sort of clearly going, or at least trending towards this being LSU on July 4th. So big news there for LSU July 4th. I would tune in.
All right, get the fireworks going, because then on Friday, edge Damian Shanklin, one of the top players in America, out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, this is another one that the Tigers lead on the RPM, but I don't feel like it's as big of a lead as maybe the Zion Williams RPM, because Bama and Ohio State also heavily involved in this one as it comes down to the wire. What's your read on Damian Shanklin?
I think that geography, distance from home, was never going to be a big factor here. They said that early on, and that's proven to be the case with the schools he's looking at. Ohio State being sort of local, yes, but Bama coming in at the end. We saw Bama really come in. They offered Khalil Lockett in June. They made a push for Damian Shanklin in June, and a number of others. And if you hit on some of those, that's a good job by the Bama staff. For LSU, they've been working this one since Blake Baker and Kevin Peoples got here from Missouri. Blake Baker is LSU's new DC. Kevin Peoples coaches and recruits defensive ends, edge rushers, and Shanklin fits into that group. They knew him from their time at Missouri. So in a recruitment that, and we've talked to Wiltfong a lot about this, that is really about relationships and development, more than NIL, more than any of that. Where can he go and feel comfortable and then know he's going to be developed? Because I think he's a guy who's in the top 100 right now, but really has some long-term upside, Josh. So LSU feels good here. I felt good about it. We haven't heard any increased late confidence out of Ohio State or Bama camps, with both those schools obviously on a roll. Look, pull up the On3 industry rankings right now. Ohio State sits at 1. LSU's been sitting at 2. Bama's now 2, LSU at 3. Obviously, all three very great classes, but this is a battle of the who's who. The top 3 teams in the rankings right now are the 3 finalists for Shanklin. But again, Steve Wiltfong has his On3 RPM pick in on the Tigers. He hasn't moved it, with the decision date being moved up to July 5th. So LSU needs D linemen. It would be a nice 24-hour stretch here across the holidays if they could pop Zion Williams on Thursday, then get another top 100 edge rusher in Damian Shanklin on Friday, because just a week ago they popped Jesse Harold out of Tampa, your old stomping grounds, a top 100 prospect on the edge. So D-line recruiting and defense recruiting is starting to pick up with this new staff.
It is exciting times now. Let's talk quarterback. And I know Bryce Underwood's already committed, but we're going to the 2026 class. We're going to see if Joe Sloan can pull another number 1 quarterback, because On3's number 1, Faison Brandon, has put the gauntlet down. He's going to announce on August 3rd from his top teams, and they are LSU, Tennessee, Alabama, and NC State. Shea Dixon, how do you see LSU, or where do you see LSU amongst those top schools, as we're about a month away from his announcement?
I think they're very much in this. And I think all these teams are, right? From talking to different people, whether it's on sources through coaching staffs around the country or just those around Faison's recruitment, I don't think he's made his mind up for sure. I think he will mull over things in the month of July. Tennessee has been trending as the team to beat, but look, he's visited NC State 10 times. I mean, more than any other college. LSU multiple times, and then Bama here at the very end, right? They had the last visit before the dead period, and then he'll make his announcement. I'll say I'll be looking for this. The dead period ends July 23rd. Does he pop up anywhere before August 3rd? That could be telling, but Joe Sloan's done a really good job here, knowing that they've got a commitment from Bryce Underwood, the number 1 overall prospect and quarterback in the current class, to be in the mix with On3's number 1 quarterback and a 5-star for next year's class is telling. And I talked to Faison about it, and he said, look, I don't look at who's coming in, who's leaving, the portal's out there. You can't predict that stuff. I want to go somewhere where I'm developed for the NFL. And I think Joe Sloan's pitch has been, look what Jaden Daniels did from Arizona State through his time at LSU, which has gone on to win the Heisman and become the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. So the offense is humming. That's a big part of why LSU has the number 3 class in the country right now, Josh, and has themselves in position for a guy like Faison Brandon, On3's number 1 quarterback.
Yep. Yeah. There you have it, LSU fans. We just previewed 3 major decisions that are going to go down this summer. So let us know, comment section below, which ones do you think will go in the Tigers' favor? Let us know. Miami spent the month of June getting hot. 15 commitments, but there's still room for a lot more as we hit July. And Canes fans, are we about to see a flurry of commitments? That's why I got Azubi Charles from CaneSport on this video. We're going to find out who could be the next major commitment for the Miami Hurricanes. But first, Canes fans, do me a favor. Lock in, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We got this thing going. We need you to be a part of it. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right. Let's bring on Azubi Charles of CaneSport, and we know the recent commitments. We got Chris Ewald at the end of June, Herbert Scroggins, Max Buchanan. Those ended the month, but Gavin Nix commits on the first day of July. So Azubi, we got some more big names that are ready to decide. Want to get your thoughts on this. Now, we're going to go to July 4th because that's when the fireworks happen. Hilton Stubbs, who's a top 60 prospect in America, he just recently decommitted from USC about 5 days ago. Now it seems like this recruitment's trending in the Canes' direction. Are we expecting a July 4th commitment?
Yeah, right now I'm leaning towards Miami in this one. Stubbs took his last official visit of the summer down to Coral Gables, and I think things went really, really well. Since he committed to the Trojans some months ago, Miami's remained in that recruitment, and they haven't let up whatsoever, and he loved that about the recruitment process. I spoke with his father, Harold Stubbs, after the OV down in Coral Gables, and they loved what they saw from Miami. But in this one, I think, OVs are going to factor in a big role, but in-season play as well is going to play big time in this recruitment. Obviously, he's going to commit on July 4th, but the Gators and the Hurricanes do play on August 31st. So if things get shaken up a bit, then I can see, things getting a little bit crazy. But right now, I think Miami has this one. And if I'm a betting man, I'm putting my money on the Canes to land Hilton Stubbs.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, maybe I was reading this wrong from the beginning, but when he committed to USC back in March, I kind of felt like it was the Florida Gators that was caught sitting kind of flat-footed, like, hey, how did that happen? He commits to USC. Of course, he gets out of that commitment, and coming out of it, I mean, it didn't take long for the picks to roll in for Miami. So kind of what took place during his commitment to USC that turned the tide in Miami's direction?
I think Miami's just general consensus in the recruitment. Like I mentioned, right when he committed to USC, the Canes staff said, hey, you're committed, but we're still trying to get you down to Coral Gables. And they kind of laid out the plan for him. That's been kind of Miami's big push this offseason, saying, hey, we have a 3-year plan for you to succeed in Coral Gables. If it goes to 4, we can do that. But his family loved the plan that Miami showed that they have for Drake Stubbs, and they love the trajectory of the program. And like I said, if they win the commitment now, it's still going to be a long battle, and they have to continue to show, what they're talking about during the season. But right now, I love where Miami stands.
Yeah, and Canes fans, you might not have to wait until July 4th for the first commitment because we rewinded a class on the July 3rd, 2026 top 25 quarterback Darion Coleman, who goes to Jones High School. He's going to make his decision on July 3rd. So that is tomorrow. RPM picks rolling in for Miami. Now, this one looked like it was trending in Oklahoma's favor for a while back in March, but now it's Miami. What's going on? And we're just about 24 hours out from his decision.
Yeah, this one has Miami written all over it with the 2026 QB domino starting to fall. Things have moved pretty quickly. Like you mentioned, a lot of people were thinking Oklahoma, but Miami got him on campus for 2 straight weekends in June, and he fell in love with the place. Darion has been always a huge, huge Miami fan. I've spoken with him, before. He got that Miami offer, and he's always wanted that Miami offer. He got that Miami from offense coordinator Shannon Dawson, came back and threw for the staff the next weekend, and, things look great between the two sides. I would be very, very surprised if he's not a Cane by tomorrow evening.
Whew. Getting that quarterback in the class early, that'll bode well for 2026 recruiting. All right, back to 2025. I want to talk Vernell Brown III, one of the most coveted wide receivers in the state of Florida. Spoke to him yesterday. He tells me he's going to be ready to announce in the month of July. Don't exactly know a date on that, but it seems like it's shaping up to be an in-state battle. I know at one point Ohio State was the favorite, but right now it seems like Miami, Florida, and Florida State with maybe the Gators leading this thing. And hey, if we're a couple weeks out, do you think that Miami still has a shot in this recruitment for Vernell Brown III?
I think they still do have a shot, but I think this is going to be kind of a long game for the Hurricanes. They always love to say, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and I think that's going to be the case with this recruitment. A ton of buzz has been, around the Gators' name, rightfully so. The whole Brown family tree, pretty much played for the Gators, currently has a sister that runs track at the University of Florida, so the family ties are there. He's from that area. But I wouldn't be surprised if in the long run he does, eventually look elsewhere. Obviously, in-season play, I think, is going to be another big factor in this one. And, those two teams, like I said, with Hill and Stubbs, August 31st is going to be a huge day on the field, but a huge day on the recruiting trails for these two programs. And, I've said this about a few other guys, I won't be surprised if they commit elsewhere right now, but come December, don't be shocked if you see Mario Cristobal and that staff really, really making a push and trying to flip some of these guys. So right now my pick is towards the Gators, but come back with this in a few months and let's check on that decision.
Yeah, and you're right, because we're about halfway through the 2025 cycle. Midpoint, I would say, because signing day is 6 months from now. But we've seen a lot of recruiting already, but there's still a lot left to go. Miami, about 5 days ago, was sitting at number 19 in the rankings with a couple commitments. They're already up to 16. To me, I don't think they're finishing at 16. I think they finish, they're going to battle for a top 10 class here, but realistically speaking, with what's on the board and what's already on the commit list, what do you think Canes fans can look for a Cane finish in 2025?
I really do think the Hurricanes can finish with their third consecutive top 10 class and even push for a top 5 class when it's all said and done. There's still a few big names, left on the Canes recruiting board. We have Jabari Antoine recently decommitted from LSU, a top 100 cornerback. We have DJ Pickett out of Zephyr Hills, one of Miami's top targets in the 2025 class. SJ Alafaitue out of Bishop Gorman, another coveted interior offensive lineman. And then we have the big guy, Elijah Griffin, the number 1 defensive lineman in the 2025 class. So a lot of big fish left on the board, and the Hurricanes are doing their due diligence and trying to get these guys on the board. So like I said, I do think they're going to finish with that top 10 class and even push for that top 5 spot like they did last.
Yep, and it is a long game. If you remember Justin Scott's recruitment, if you remember Armando Blunt's recruitment, it ain't over till it's over if you're down in Miami. So Canes fans, let us know, who do you think will be the next commitment, and how do you feel about the Canes 2025 class? Let us know, comment section below. Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.